Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about this issuance of this. This is the actual evidence that the public defender wanted the judge to see. Yes. And considering the number of times that my rights have been violated, I had mentioned the declaration of Pastor Greg Miller. Yes. And then the petitioner's motion to modify the order. There was no attempt of service for the modification of the protection order from August 2nd. Yes. No, it was October 2nd to October 12th. Yeah. And then order reissuing temporary protection order, no attempt of service. Yeah. And then sheriff's return of service. Oh, I never got oh, oh. See, for some reason you thought that you could modify the protection order so I couldn't go to the Boys and Girls Club. Yes. And I couldn't go to a certain church. And when you did that, I had the right to see. See, you modified this. Respondents restrained from going within 300 feet of the First Baptist Church of Sequim. Yes. And then 300 feet of the Sequim Boys and Girls Club, 400 West First Street. And then respondents prohibited from knowingly coming within or knowingly remaining within 1,000 feet of the petitioner's residence, workplace, school, daycare, or the school of the minors named in Table 1. And I had mentioned that well, let's say you had a football field. It's 100 yards. Yes, goalpost to goalpost. And that's 300 feet. Pooch. 3 football fields away from the residence, workplace, school, daycare of the minors named in Table 1. Yeah. 1,000 feet seemed like a long ways to me. Because how do I know where she works? I don't. I don't know where she lived. From what I hear, she moved to Bremen. Now, I don't know what happened on June 16th of 2017, but I had a very big problem with this concept of modifying protection orders without me actually having the right to represent myself. Now, did you reissue it in case resolution closed by court order after a hearing? The RCLCO. And then order reissuing temporary protection order, motion hearing, Brent Baisden. And then there was a sheriff's return of service on October 16th of 2012. Then order modifying the terms, and then a motion hearing on October 26th. Yes. Now that's probably when you served me, was after you had them. Well, there's some question about those 14 days. Now, I realize that a judge, they have their own private lives, but I think that there's been some things that have been going on after court's been closed. Now, what is a case resolution closed by court order after a hearing? Because Declaration Affidavit 21 of Pastor Greg Miller, right. And then petitioner's motion to modify, yes. And then protection order, terms of order, right. Motion hearing on the 12th, and then the case was closed by court order. Then the reissuing of the temporary protection order, a motion hearing on October 12th, where I didn't receive any. What'd you do? You decided I couldn't go within 1,000 feet of a workplace, residence, school, daycare, or the school of the minors named on page 1. Exactly what happened in Brennan, Washington. Did it happen within 1,000 feet of the actual workplace or residence of the petitioner that did or did not motion the court to have it reissued? See, without her signature, this modification of it on July 31st of 2015, approximately 2 years and 10 months later, where does she work? Where do the minors named? Where do they go to school? Now somebody's trying to say I'm trying to contact them. I'm not. I put this on YouTube, and then if they found out that their last name is the same as my last name, well, then they could watch it. I intentionally haven't attempted contact of the minors named. Now, was this 300 feet from the First Baptist Church as long as she lived in Square, Washington, or was that another church that they attend? I mean, exactly what are you doing? Well, she didn't motion the court for the initial protection order, but how did this end up in Bremen, Washington? Oh. Now, in June 1st of 2015, yes, you reissue the temporary protection order, right? Without the petitioner instituting it? Did somebody think that they had the right to obstruct my use of a city when it's 1,000 feet? Think about it as a straight line, 1,000 feet long. Yes. Then look at the radius, diameter of it. Yes. That covers quite a bit of a city, doesn't it? Oh. Exactly how far can you make these prohibitions? 3 football fields? Am I? Well, I wasn't given notice from June 1st to June 12th. Yes. I was not served. Now, see this thing about 622 and 723? I don't know if both of those attempts of service were for myself or were they for the petitioner. Now, I had emailed law enforcement about that, didn't I now? Do you in some way have an obligation to inform me of when you attempted service and you did not? There was no proof of service prior to having court hearings. Yes. But the order for the surrender of weapons wasn't included in Exhibit A. Pooch. I have a copy of my copy. Yes. The protected person didn't sign it. Now, is this the actual scene? Well, it's that stamp is not on this. Oh, is this the actual initials of the court officer? And did you use this with or without her knowledge? Now, if I had known that I had kept a citizen from his sons for 2.5 years, when under duress I had agreed to stamp this, yes. Well, who was it that was not served because you served somebody on 8/27 of 2015 after you served me in the Squim Public Library? I'm just wanting to know, are you intentionally keeping me involved in the judicial system because you don't want to get sued? I think there's some rewards that I'm missing. Now, I'm going to go through every law of the United States that gives a person a reward from every treasury of every state. Can't you do an accounting for me of all these sub accounts of the Cervases? I looked at that email that I was sending today. The subversive form of government that obstructs a citizen's right to sue them. Now, that's a 10-year felony, Judge. Choo, 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 choo. Now, the Colorado rules of professional conduct, defenseless or oppressed. I will at all times faithfully and diligently adhere to the Colorado rules of professional conduct. Then there's misconduct. Ooh, rules of professional conduct, which violate or attempt to violate the rules of professional conduct. Knowingly assist or induce another to do so, duress, or do so through acts of another. Chooch, I like to be on you and have you cause somebody else to violate the professional, commit a criminal act that reflects adversely on a lawyer's honesty, trustworthiness, and fitness as a lawyer in other respects. Engage in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation. You know, the fraud. Could you get me the actual rules of professional conduct for every attorney in this great nation?